You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Greetings, beautiful people. Thank you for joining me for another incredible episode of the African Father in America podcast. I am in Seattle, Washington, and I am excited to be here with you for today's conversation. I have a really special guest who is going to be joining me in just a moment here. But before I continue, I just want to welcome everyone who is watching, to make sure you subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments where in the world you are joining us from. Now I want to bring on my guest who is joining us all the way from Uganda. Alika, just go ahead and say hello to everyone who is here with us today.
Hello, everybody listening to us. My name is Alike Pauchere, and I'm exceedingly happy to speak to you on our writings and Ugandan writings and to share my perspectives with you. Such a pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alike. Alike is an incredible, author, and I'm going to share with you a little more about some of the work that he has done, as an author, and also some of the incredible work he's doing in Uganda. But for now, I just want to ground our conversation on today's proverb. So just give me a moment. I am going to bring the proverb for the day on your screen here in just a second. That one is actually one of our proverbs from earlier this week, but I'm going to add the one from today in just a second. So bear with me as I bring it on your screen. Today's proverb is actually from Kenya, and so we are going to add it here and start our conversation, and then dive deep into the book that Alike is one of the featured authors for. So if you can see my screen, it says, endure and drink your medicine. Endure and drink your medicine. Share with me what this proverb means to you in the comment. I am going to share the 3 nuggets related to this proverb here in just a second. I'm very keen on knowing what it is that this proverb means to you. There are 3 nuggets of wisdom that this proverb reminds me about. Number 1, resilience in adversity. No matter what situation you could be facing, it's really, really important to never give up. Stay on course and remember why you started. Number 2, self-care and healing. Once you know what you need to do to take care of yourself and heal yourself in order for you to continue with this beautiful journey of life, the medicine, no matter how hard it is. Many times I know that I need to be going out and exercising, but I don't just like it sometimes. But because I know the benefit of it, I know that that's the medicine that I have to take, so I end up doing it. Then the last nugget of wisdom is patience and long-term goals. You always have to remember, when the doctor prescribes specific medication for you, they expect you to take it just the way they told you to. But as we start feeling better, we feel like, oh, maybe I should stop taking it, and then that's when the sickness comes back. So it's really, really important to think about the long-term effect of the medicine or the remedy of our situation, or the investment that we are putting into maybe our finances, maybe our education, and maybe our awareness. For example, today the book that we are going to be discussing a little bit, that Alike is one of the featured authors for, you find that it's something that is going to give us information that will serve us for the longest time. Anyway, I want to know your own perspective. Alike, what do you think about this proverb? Share your own perspective with us, please.
Well, as a writer, I almost feel every writer has to overcome some forms of adversity and know how to tell their own story, you know. So for me, my life is a living testimony of the same conflict that I write about. I was born in the conflict. From the inception of my name, Alike means the problems of state power. So my mother is a Class C midwife, and I was born under a tree without a midwife, and the only person who supported my mother to deliver the baby called Alike was one who had mothered 7 children. All the men had run away from President Idi Amin at the time. So the inception of my life begins to tell stories of resilience, overcoming adversities. I have the unique ability to overcome unique types of adversities because of my past experience, whether it being conflict, emotional, social. I just have a lot, and it informs the things that I write about, especially if you look into my poems. And one of the greatest remarks from one of my bosses that I kept and lives with me is that I am uniquely blessed in transforming my adversities to inspiration to those who listen to me and those who read my works.
I love that.
So yeah, that's a very meaningful Kenyan proverb.
I love that. And I love how you fused the meaning of your name into your response to this proverb. It's beautiful. So for those who are meeting Alike for the very, very first time, he's an incredible poet, author of 2 books, My Mayor, The Political Campaigns.
I have actually done more. I have a website.
Oh.
If you could place it somewhere, www.authoralike.com. And you will realize that I have authored 2 collection of poems.
Okay.
That is Hidden Scars and Unsaid Words. And Unsaid Words, I did it with a friend. And then I also worked on My Mayor is a book that I wrote after running unsuccessfully for the office of the mayor of my town. And the recent one, I did a biography written Dr. Okom, which means Dr. Okom.
Yeah,
and currently I'm working on a number of other pieces. Yeah,
that's incredible. I had no idea you had run for a mayor. So then we have a lot to even unpack during our conversation today. So then let's go back.
I'm all ready to talk,
Yeah, let's go back a little further. I love asking this question to all the guests that join me for the Afia podcast. Take us back to about 8 to 12 years, back where you grew up. Share with us, the smells of the street, the foods in the street, but also particularly one story that really, when you sit here with me today, you feel that moment is what shapes who you are today, is what inspires who you have become and drives who you are in this moment. Personally, I share with a lot of my guests that when I was 8 years old, my mother gave me a bicycle and asked me to help her distribute milk and bread in our neighborhood. And so that moment shaped who I am, gave me the discipline to wake up every day and produce this show and do many other things that require discipline, hard work, community, and entrepreneurship. Share a similar story of yours, please.
Okay. Until the age of 15, my family could not afford a television set. And when I was approximately 9 years old, we received a new neighbor, and we were living in the nurse's quarter, and the neighbor was from the city. And the one thing they had that no family had was a TV set. The TV set had a repeated show. If you're Ugandan, you remember that's Live Mwatu show, very popular at the time. The neighbor had only 3 cassette tapes and would repeat the movie over and over. And I remember this period in my life so much because that's when I got the best beating of my life from my father for embarrassing him. Because these movies always came when they were about to have supper. And whenever they put the videos on, I would never leave, no matter whether they offered me food or they didn't offer. I was always captivated by this experience watching TV that we never had. Watching TV for us was strictly on 25th of December, Christmas Day. The one thing after lunch we all do after eating meat and chicken, best meal for every kid. So after such a thorough beating, my father never realized that the, the pull for me that made me receive often beating was because I was in a boarding school where those kids who had corporate parents always told stories about movies that they watched and I could never tell one. And I wanted to tell them a story. So I started cramming the movies, Chuck Norris and all this, so that I can tell them that story. And after telling a great story one time in school, it made me so popular, and I wanted to continue telling stories. Little did I know that marked the beginning of my storytelling life. Even then, it never came to actualization that I'm a storyteller until the later years of my life, which is a long story, not for the show, that I just realized there's one talent that I have. I have to live a life telling stories. I told them using my mouth. My first visit to America, that won me a scholarship at the University of San Diego. I came to America to tell stories, the stories of the war, the LRA stories. But even then, at that time, I'd not yet looked at myself as a storyteller. In that visit, the same stories made me earn a scholarship at the University of San Diego. And then when I returned home, I realized that during the COVID period, during the election period, pre-COVID time, I realized that I could tell those stories in writing much better than in spoken word. And that's why I found myself as a writer. So yes, the stories that I have grown up being hooked and being beaten. My father believed in beating kids for discipline, and it looked normal. I never saw anything bad with it. Fortunately, I don't do that for my kids today. So those experiences with my father that never had a chance to realize why I love stories and why I'm hooked to the neighbor's TV influenced when my father got the first chance in an extended family system to board a plane and get out of the country. And she asked, "What do I bring you?" The only thing I asked was a TV. To this day, in my retired mother's house, there's a they call it golden something TV that still stays there, even if it's blacked out. Gold Star TV still lives in my mother's house and a memory of the climax of our good times when my father lived.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
So that
I
is a
love.
story, and that has really, yeah.
Yeah, I love those years. We also had a neighbor that also, that had a friend who moved away. I think they went for holiday somewhere, and so they let our neighbor keep their belongings, including their TV. And that's when we first even saw a TV. And so we were able to watch the
Yeah.
World Cup. I think it was World Cup 1990 or one of those early World Cups. And that neighbor became very popular, because in the entire neighborhood they were the only one with a TV set. So that I can totally relate with everything you're sharing with us today. I see that we've been joined by quite a few people. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel and give this video a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on any other platform, make sure you follow me on those platforms so that when we are live next time, you can also catch the show. Right now, I just want to, bring you to, part of the core of our conversation today is this beautiful book. I have a physical copy with me. Remembering the Future is the name of the book. And I have been interviewing quite a few authors who have been featured on this book. And Ali K is one of the authors featured on this book. Ali K, just share with me how you connected with Chris Conti, who is the editor of this book, is a journalist, renowned journalist based in Washington, D.C. How did you guys connect? And, and how does it feel to be amongst some of the featured authors who I feel that Uganda has I'm proud as a Kenyan and I'm proud as an African. I feel like we have some of the best writers, but we are not celebrated enough, So this book showcases just a glimpse of the literary talent and, gifts that we have. So speak to what it means to you to be on this project, and also speak to how you connected with Chris and all these other amazing authors.
That's an amazing one. First, to set it straight, meeting Conte was just the beauty of social media. I have no idea who recommended me to Conte. I never met Conte until the end of my contract contractual writing. I've only met Conte 2 times in my life. The first time at the book launch, and then we had an event there after the second time. But we connected like we bonded 10 years ago. We have a chemistry that really works beyond social media. And I connect so well with Conte because of unique perspectives. I think I love his perspectives then. And also to mention, I think it would be fair to mention that I love writing stories. I wrote it for free. I wrote it to all media houses that asked me for free. But Conte was the first person to pay me for my writing. And when he did, he defined how much is the worth of my writing. If Conte had asked me to write for free, I would have done it too. Maybe not now, because it just opened my eyes. I didn't think anybody would want to pay me all that Chris paid me for my writings. So, yes, after Chris paid me, it was like a good blessing. Thereafter, I got so many contracts. Through the process of Chris's contract and post Chris's contract, I'm right now working on 2 biographies, concurrently paid pretty good amount of money by Ugandan standards. And again, the only way I could tell them how much they pay me for my service, first of all, my rates are now in dollars because Chris paid me in dollars. So I have a very clear idea of how much I get paid. And all of them paid according to Chris's rates. So yeah. So if you're asking me what does it mean to me, it means so much to me. It means so much. I don't think Chris has a choice to quit me. We are hooked. And we still see, I'm definitely going to have many more projects with Chris. Even if he chooses to say no, I'm going to say yes, Chris, if you're online. I want to work with you, Chris. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, this is really motivating because I definitely have similar feelings about working with Chris. He's a very reliable partner, and he really values African writing and African literature. You have the book with you there, do you?
And let me say this. All my books are published by Libris in New York, but I've never felt their editing. But when Chris edited my work, I felt him. And now Chris is the person Libris is not going to like because I don't think I want them to edit my work again. Chris made me know how my work looks when it's edited well. And yes, Chris, my work in that book is one of the best set pieces I've ever brought out, and I'm so proud of it. I like how it looks. I like the feel. I like the touch and everything about a good writing.
I love that. I love to hear that. Read for us your chapter, your favorite excerpt, from your portion of the book. But go ahead. You want to say something?
You're going to be a little patient with me. My style of writing is such that it builds, it grows the traffic, but I'm not going to take long. So I can't say what I want to say if I don't read the full length of the extract. So I'm going to read. So I write this piece about my own brother telling a family story who was in the rebellion, the Lost Resistance Army rebels, the one notoriously known Joseph Kony, and then he returns to Uganda and he never talks about his experience. And then only when do I ask him to do this story that he opens up. And I'll tell you the stories that come after this. In 2008, my brother Akena and I joined the largest crowd to gather at Kaunda Parade Grounds in Gulu since Pope John Paul II visited in 1993. But this gathering was different than other earlier ones. We were waiting to hear from the delegates who were representing.
Yeah, we had an internet issue there when Ali K was just beginning to read, but he's going to be back with us in just a moment. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Afia Podcast. I hope you have taken a moment to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and let's see if Ali K is going to be able to come back here in a moment. While we do that, I also just want to take this opportunity to share with you today's proverb real quick. And then I'll share with you the book that Ali K is reading from, the one that he spoke very, very highly about. So first I'll start with the book. You should grab the book in Uganda. The book is available globally, actually. Remembering the Future. It features some of the most, incredible authors in Uganda. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and I want to make sure I give you the exact place where you can get your copy of the book in Uganda. In Uganda, it is at Ibua Publishing. That's where you can get your copy of the book. And then online and worldwide, you can get it from Amazon. That's where you can get the book from, on Amazon. And then if you want to check out the website for the book, the website is ugandamemories.com. ugandamemories.com. If you go to that website, you will be able to not only see all the authors that are featured on the book, you'll be able to buy the book from there. You'll be able to just read excerpts from each of the chapters of the book. You'll be able to see a gallery of pictures, some of the reviews, and just learn a little more about what this book is all about and why I think it's a book that you should definitely get it for yourself or gift it to someone. As we are approaching the holiday season, make sure you get a copy of this book. And also let me know what this conversation means to you so far. If you've been here with us since the beginning, take a moment and type down in the comments. Let me know, how do you feel about this conversation with Ali K, who is one of the authors featured in this beautiful book. Now I am going to share the proverb for today, which is from Kenya. It says, endure and drink your medicine. Endure and drink your medicine. Take a minute and share with me what this proverb means to you. I know that we are live on multiple platforms, from AMP to LinkedIn to Facebook to YouTube. YouTube is actually my primary platform where we broadcast a fair podcast from. So make sure you subscribe to the channel over there. I just want to check and find out what's going on with Ali K. I just want to make sure I can help him if he needs any help. For those who have traveled to Africa, internet is always a challenge there, and you don't be surprised if there is a blackout. So maybe he lost his electricity. You never know. So I'm just checking to find out what could be going on. So I deeply appreciate your patience. Yeah. So let me read the comments here for a second. I see that Brian Kilabi is joining us from Kisumu, Kenya. He's saying amazing. And Larry Snyder. Larry Snyder is also an author. I actually have one of his books right in front of me. I'll be interviewing him again. He's going to be a returning guest on the show very soon. He says beautiful stories, thoughtful, looking forward to watching the whole show later today. Share your comments as well. All of these viewers were actually on Facebook, so Brian is on Facebook and Larry Snyder is also on Facebook. Why is it that people on YouTube are not commenting? That's a curious observation. I'm also realizing that of everybody that watches the show over the last 3 years, less than 50% of them are subscribers, so I don't know why majority of people who are watching a fair podcast do not subscribe to the channel. So if you're one of those people, make sure you take a minute and subscribe, because that's how I grow this platform, and also that's how you stay informed. I'm very, very consistent with this show. Over the last 3 years, I've been doing this Monday to Friday, same time, consistently, and the growth is immeasurable. The connections I've made through this show is incredible, and I just want to continue growing it and building it and making it better, but also making it a space where authors like Ali K can share their stories the way he is able to do. Let's see. Yeah, so we are coming here. We have 4 minutes before we wrap up the show. It's clear that Ali K is probably going to have to come back as a guest for the show sometime in the next couple of weeks, and he will be able to read the rest of the excerpt that he was reading for us. I felt that it was really, really beautiful, and I honestly feel that each one of you who is watching the show should make sure you grab a copy of the book. As I said earlier, worldwide it's available on Amazon, and in Uganda it's available through Ibua Publishing. So I'm just going to take a minute here. I'm going to talk about a couple of events that Ali K is coming back. So I'll bring him back just real quick. I'll bring him back real quick. So while we position him to join us back for the show, I just want to talk about the Africa Day Business Forum, which is happening here in Seattle on the 30th of September. The 30th of September. For those who have been watching the show over the last few weeks, I think you've seen me talk a lot about this event. People like Desmond Tutu have been to Seattle because of this event, and many leaders from Africa have been to Seattle because of this event. Alike, now we see you, but you're not looking at the camera. You must be looking at a different camera. Did you join through your laptop? Yeah, and I can't hear you. Yeah, so plug in your headphone and look this other way. Yeah, keep going that other way. Your camera is, yeah, this other side. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Your audio is totally gone. What audio are you using now? Yeah, I can't hear you at all. No. Yeah, take your time. Let me just talk about Africa Day Business Forum real quick, because that's an important event coming up. There you go. Now,
is that good?
It's excellent. Yeah, so Africa Day Business Forum, September 30th at the Motif Hotel in downtown Seattle, organized by the African Chamber of Commerce of the Pacific Northwest. Go to Eventbrite and get your ticket. If possible today. And this event is for business people in Africa who want to come to the Pacific Northwest and connect with companies that are based here. It's for government institutions that want to expand trade with the US. This is the excellent opportunity for you from any part of Africa or any part of the world that want to do business with the Pacific Northwest. So go to the African Chamber of Commerce of the Pacific Northwest's website and learn more. Now we are back here with Alike. Alike, when your connection misbehaved, you are just beginning to read for us the excerpt. Yeah. And now take it away.
Yeah, I just want to get to that part and where I was about my brother, which is the character I want to introduce. So let me begin from this part. Suddenly, because I read there, suddenly I was roused from my thoughts. I went beyond that. Yeah, here it is. Suddenly, I was roused from my thoughts. Akena grabbed my hand in a grip so tight, my fingers quickly became numb. He was staring intensely towards a pavilion that had been erected at the center of the parade grounds. I followed his gaze, and there, to my amazement, stood our brother, Opora, among representatives of the feared rebel army. He was smartly dressed like an African-American Marine in full combat fatigues and desert trooper boots. Dark shades were clipped to his chest, and his military cap was pulled low, blocking a clear view of his eyes. At his waist, he carried a big revolver pistol in his holster. He stood with open legs and a straight, inscrutable face, scanning tightly packed horde around him as if on the lookout for a sniper attack. So I wanted to introduce my brother Opora. I introduced my brother Opora because it is the second time it was happening. If you follow the story, that his elder brother had joined the rebellion. This rebellion took more than 20 years. And then it was for the second time two brothers were coming negotiate peace talks. The first time it ended up my elder brother dying in precarious circumstances like all peace talks. And he was playing the same role his elder brother played that led him into the rebellion. And that was his last conversation. His elder brother, in that particular incident, held the last conversation with my father. And as a young person, I sat next to the door listening to those rebel stories about what was happening to his life. So here I was, more than 10 years after I've been, 10 years I've not seen my brother. I have no idea where my brother is. And for the first time, my elder brother, the one that I followed, for the first time, all of us are seeing him after 10 years and realizing, oh, he's into the rebellion, So he comes back, and he was the higher ranking officer already in the rebellion. And he comes back and he doesn't tell his story. So when Chris reached out to me, I went to him and said, look, someone has to tell your story. I want to talk about your story. We can't hide it anymore. Everybody knows you've been in captivity. And he told me his story. And then I shared a memo of his story in that book to help define how, as a family with a history of that conflict, we never appreciate the current dispensation of justice and what it means to Western Uganda and what it doesn't mean to a grieving family that feels conflicted. How the Western justice system never makes the same meaning to me, to my family. And how much we would have preferred our African traditional justice mechanism or a hybrid of sorts that helps us understand what they're doing so that we can make sense of our existence, of our experiences. And so I thought that I would share that in that story, and that is what it is. The beauty about it all is when I shared the book with him and I told Conte about this time he now wants to tell me a fuller version of his life in captivity, in the bush, in the rebellion, because he liked what came out of the book. Now he wants to open up. So this writing to me, what does it mean to me? This writing to me was therapeutic. It is the kind of writing that makes a man that has held up his story to feel, to liberate himself, to be ready to tell his story. And I hope that those who read this book can realize this, can understand this, that your justice may not necessarily be your justice, that the justice you claim for may meet your tenets, your understanding, your perception of justice, but it may absolutely not mean anything to victims. That you realize that the narratives that we share today are narratives of victors and not the narrative of victims in as far as the justice that we look forward to and aspire for after 2 decades of a conflict. And that has been my story.
Wow. Thank you so much. I grew up fascinated by Joseph Kony. I grew up fascinated by Idi Amin and all the Uganda, stories, the stories of how Uganda ended up where it is. And Uganda is still evolving, similar to Kenya. I think Uganda and Kenya, of course, Tanzania, we are really like family, our stories are so intertwined, I read that one of the people that helped liberate Zanzibar was actually a Luo from Uganda, that Okello that grew up in Nairobi, So our stories are so.
If you're going to do Ugandan politics in one or another, Kenya you must have a place you call home in Kenya.
Right.
When it goes bad, you always have to go to Kenya, and yeah. That's why everything works to get yourself back in the country, yeah.
Right. Anyhow, today has been incredible. I just want you to make sure you let us know how everyone who has been watching the show can, support your work, because I've already talked about how everyone who watched the show today can get a copy of the book. And again, for the sake of those who are just joining us, I just want to share what the book that we are talking about is. Remembering the Future is the book that my special guest is featured as one of the authors, and he just shared with us an excerpt of the chapter that he wrote. But now I just want him to share with you how you can stay connected with him, how you can support his work. And then, Alike, speak about anything that I didn't ask you as we close our time together today.
Okay, I have shared this with Conte before. Why would you not like to ask yourself why it has to take Conte to come to Uganda for us to tell our story? What happens if Conte doesn't come to Uganda tomorrow? I have a small non-for-profit that is working hard to build writers locally. Proceeds from my work is I'm working with 20 schools to build writers. And I told Conte I newly bought a big piece of land, 6 acres now, it was 5 then, to dedicate it to something Uganda doesn't have. Uganda does not have a creative writing college. I'm a teacher by profession. I'm a writer. I deal with teaching. I want to help the young people today realize their potential at the age when they're still young that nobody did for me. I'm looking for that committed person anywhere around the world that wants to work with me to build better writers. I come from the land of Okot Pabitek. His works became much better when he went to Kenya. If Okot Pabitek could get it through, I can work with somebody to build the first creative writing college. We have already invested in land. We have the resources, the raw resources on the ground. I'm looking for that person who wants to dedicate himself or herself to build better writers, to help tell our story. The stories of Northern Uganda 2-decade conflict were better told by those who never lived through the conflict, were better told by what I call foreigners. We need to learn to tell our story, and I'm looking forward to anybody who wants to partner with us, any institution who wants to partner with us, so that we build writers, so that we tell the African story the way, using African lenses. So yes, I have a website, www.authoralike.com. I have a very active YouTube channel, Author Alike. I have a very active Facebook channel, Author Alike. You can see what we're doing with the children on the YouTube, with those videos. You can follow us on Facebook, and you just have to decide how you want to get involved with us in building the first creative writing college, or academy for that matter, where we build the young people, where we prioritize the writings of young people. Because the young people today in Uganda don't even have a platform, like this kind of platform for them to tell their own stories. We have more than 5,000 kids that got pregnant during the COVID times. There's not a single platform where they tell their stories, except for the platform that I offered them last year, so that we know what goes on in the world. So I'm looking forward to somebody who wants to try something new, something adventurous, and it has to be about writing. Thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to listening to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you, and reach out anytime when you have any of your projects that you want to let everybody know about. You know how to connect with me, and I just want to thank Chris for connecting us. I want to congratulate you and all the other authors that are featured in Remembering the Future. And I want to thank our viewers and our listeners of the Afia podcast who showed up today, and those who are going to watch the show after we end the live broadcast now. Have a nice weekend. Thank you, and take good care of yourself. Okay, bye.
Take care too. Bye.
Okay.
Cheers. Hey,
Cheers.
Before you go,
okay,
just in case there's anybody from University of San Diego, I am an alumni of University of San Diego, so I want to say some shout outs to you, and please, it's always a pleasure. San Diego gave me the best time. So I hear you talk about your city, Seattle, so much. I'm from San Diego, and I still affiliate myself with San Diego. So thank you.
San Diego is beautiful. Okay, my friend. Take care.
That's where I had my master's from. So yeah. Take
very
care.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Very nice. Okay, take care of yourself. Okay, peace.
All right, take care.
Father in America. Tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, America. Tujikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.